Hi there. Today I wanted to discuss with you guys something that I get asked like all the time on YouTube, on like all of my popular videos. Everyone consistently seems to want to know what to look for when buying a used car. So I'll go over just a couple key points of what I look for when buying a used car and things that I think are most important to be mindful of. And we'll just get started by saying the biggest thing is knowing what car you want. Knowing the year really helps. Knowing the ideal trim package that you want helps. Everything kind of slims your search and pushes you in the right direction of what car you're specifically looking for. I think generally just saying, oh, I want a 350Z is kind of silly because there's 3 different generations, 2 or 3 different motor options, or a car like a Miata where there's 5 generations. Knowing what car you want and specifically what model you want is very important. Mileage, in my opinion, is something that whatever you feel comfortable with, I'd say is fine. Generally over 120,000 miles, you should expect that it's either going to need maintenance or it's had maintenance done. If you can get maintenance records, all the better for you to know what work was done, but generally you'd imagine probably timing service needs to be done soon, spark plugs, spark wires, maybe fuel cleaning services, brake flush, coolant flush, stuff like that is all usually recommended around the 100,000 mile range. Bring a code scanner with you. You can rent them at AutoZone for the day or for 2 days or whatever, and just bring that with you so that you kind of have the power, so if it does have any warning lights you can see what's going on with it. If you can, bring a mechanic with you that has a nicer snap-on scanner tool that can, instead of just scanning the immediate DTCs, which can get cleared out, he can scan the entire chassis for stored codes or even HVAC codes, brake warnings, stuff like that. Learn if it needs a speed sensor or anything like that. The snap-on tools are really well developed, the Versus edges are really well developed, and can find a lot of those issues that have been laying dormant in the car. Generally, in my experience, I'd say avoid buying super modified cars or super motor swaps or anything like that. For if the price looks wrong, something's probably wrong there. But Kellen, he only wants $2,000 for a V8 swap 240. Why? What else is wrong with it? What has he left out that you're not thinking about? Most of the time you're probably just buying someone else's broken project car that they got running and they're like trying to get rid of it before it breaks again. I've done that a couple times and I feel kind of guilty about it. If you do want to go after buying one of those cars, some of the most important things I'd say to look at for you is definitely pop the hood. Do not go home without popping the hood. Inspect the wiring, inspect the vacuum lines, inspect the intercooler piping, the undercarriage of the car if it was lowered, gas lines, engine idle, anything underneath the car that can get damaged. Take a look at the oil pan, take a look at the condition of the oil in the car, see what the coolant looks like. The coolant should be like usually a citrus kind of color, like an orange or a blue or a gold or a green. It should not be sludgy, it should not have any sort of froth to it. Same with the oil, it should be brown or very dark. Dark is not good for the car, but it's better than it being bubbly and frothy to it. But wiring is a huge thing to look out for on a swapped car, because some people will just take the easy way out and save all the hassle for you. Don't fall for the "it's just a bad sensor" line. It's possible they're telling the truth and it may just be that mass airflow sensor that's causing the car to run kind of poorly, but I think it's usually just a blanket line for I don't know what I'm doing with this car and I want to get rid of it. That bad sensor could be low compression in a cylinder. That bad sensor could be, the trans slipping. It's hard to say, and you should know that those lines are usually should spur you on to looking a little bit deeper. Be rational though, and hear them out. Listen to everything they have to say about the car. They obviously have a little more experience with owning it than you do, so just listen to every single thing that they're saying. Try to pick up on inconsistencies if they say something that sounds funny, or if they're talking too much, because if they're nervous, there's probably a reason why they're nervous and they're probably hiding something. Know what price you're willing to pay, by the way, and set your lowest number before you go to see the car, and don't budge on that number. As much as you want to buy the car, they want to sell it to you. They want that car gone just as much as you want that car in your driveway. So you have to use that to play the game with them and just set a number that's low and keep to that number, and that will be the lowest number, or I'm sorry, I guess the highest number that you'll go, or for selling the lowest number, I guess. But don't lowball them, and like don't come out and offend them. I mean, if they're asking $5,000, don't offer $2,500. Like, make a reasonable offer. If they're asking $5,000 and you see a good bit of stuff that needs to be done to the car, then I would say, you know, offer $4,500 or something like that. A reasonable price for a car that's being asked for $5,000. Test drive the car for more than 5 minutes. Don't just get in and take it around the parking lot and call it a day. Take it on a little bit of a longer drive. Listen to the engine when it warms up. Listen if there's ticking, knocking, pinging, any sounds that you don't want to hear coming from your engine. Listen to the suspension. See if the tires are rubbing against something that they shouldn't be. See if it's clicking over bumps and the sway bar end links are bad, or the whole strut sounds like it's bouncing around. But definitely take a car on a drive for longer than 5 minutes. A lot of the issues that you hear about won't even present themselves until after the 5-minute mark anyway. As a mechanic, when I test drive cars to fix them, I have to drive them for more than 5 minutes, so I expect to be able to do the same if I want to buy a car. Understanding the car you want to buy and what are common problems with that car are very important. I have a video talking about 5 reasons why not to buy a 350Z, and in that video I kind of just outlined things to look for when buying one used. Things you should expect to see, like the interior being scratched, or you know, small issues with the windows. Those are very popular on those cars, or whatever. Know what the common problems are and be able to see them. That way, if you do find those issues, you won't be so taken aback by them. The first time I went and looked at a 350 and saw the scratched up interior, I was like, oh, this thing's junk, I don't want this car. But I own one and it came with scratched up interior. So just know what you're looking for and know the common issues of them, so you know what to be afraid of and what not to. Rust is your #1 enemy. The car's cheap and it just has rust. Oh, that's all that's wrong with it. Just seriously, expect the car to be neglected. Expect there to be other issues if there's a decent bit of rust on the car. If it's rusting out, it's been sitting or it's been just beat on. And hasn't been cleaned properly, and they didn't clean off salt in the winter and stuff like that. It would be a really big bummer to get the car home all excited about it and think you got a decent car for a good price to jack it up and see a huge hole in the floorboard or something, which I've had happen twice now to me. So be mindful, pay attention, look underneath the cars, take the extra couple minutes. When you're on a test drive, go and drive it to an automotive shop and ask to borrow a jack to look underneath it. I've done that before. There's no shame in that, and they'll usually help you out and take a look with you. But know what you're doing, know what you're getting into, and don't just frivolously throw money at a car because you think it looks cool or sounds cool. Most importantly to me, be safe. Bring a friend with you that knows about cars. Bring a friend with you that isn't afraid to beat someone up if they try to attack you. Bring a parent with you that knows a lot about cars. Try not to go alone to these things because you don't know who you're meeting up with on Craigslist, and it'd be better to die with someone than alone, right? I guess. Having 2 people there is definitely a more safe situation though, and that would be one of the biggest things to people that are just going out and thinking they're gonna go buy a used car on Craigslist. There's a lot of horror stories. I've never personally had any bad issues, although I did have a really scary time where I went to trade wheels and I was in a, actually it's one of our videos, it's up still. But we went to somewhere in Gettysburg, I can't really remember. It was like a war site. We met them there at like 9 p.m. and the park was closed and the cops showed up and kicked us out, and then my car wouldn't start. Prepare for the worst when you're trading cars or trading anything with anyone. Just be careful. I'll probably make a video about trade etiquette too. Just things you should do before trading your title, or how to even go about that process, because I know a lot of people aren't very well versed in that stuff like I am. Other stuff to consider when buying your car, just, you know, MVA does cost some money, or DMV, whatever you have. That's going to take a little chunk of money, so don't buy a car that you're really excited about if you can't afford the maintenance, or you can't afford to title it, or you can't afford the insurance on it. Just make sure to factor in everything. Call your insurance company and get estimates before you go. Don't drive the car home without insurance. It's personally, in my opinion, it's fine to drive without plates. I've experienced as long as you have insurance. Insurance is the most important thing. If you slip off the road and crash on the way home, or someone rear ends you, you want to have insurance, because that will cost a lot of money out of your pocket, and you don't want to deal with that, and you don't want the several years and years of letters from the MVA or DMV. Just make sure you make smart decisions. Insure the car. If you have to, go that day to the DMV and get it plated. Just most importantly, be safe out there, guys. I've moved to North Carolina now, by the way. I'm settled in. It's going pretty well. Robert and Matthew came and visited me over the weekend, so it was really cool to see them and get to film Robert's car. Hopefully I'll be meeting up with some local car guys around here soon and starting to go to events. It just was like 15 degrees out, and now it's finally like decent weather. So hopefully some car shows will be going on soon, and I can go see what's up with Raleigh and check it out. But until then, guys, thank you so much for following us into the 2019 year. We're really excited for everything that could happen here. I might be trading the Jeep very, very, very soon for a car that I'm really excited about, and I will not talk about until the video comes out of me getting it. But just stay tuned, because it'll be a lot cooler than my Jeep, and maybe cooler than my Z. I don't know. I'll leave that up to you guys. But peace.